So, what is the number one best thing you can do to grow your business? Best form of advertising, the best way to get noticed? And the answer is your Google business listing, particularly how far up you rank. If you show up on the first page, people are going to see you, and it's more likely that they will use your business. If you don't show up until way down the list and people have to scroll very far down, then you are a lot less likely to get the business. Well, how do you get a good Google ranking where you show up on the first page with the first 3 or 4 businesses other than the paid advertisements? And the answer is a lot of different things. It is having a good website. It is having your website configured properly. It is making sure that you're listed across multiple things, not just Google, but Yahoo, Yelp, YP, Dex, just a bunch of different search engines. Maybe even sites like Foursquare, Nextdoor, things like that. Those help with your rankings. Also having things like a YouTube and a Facebook and Instagram page for your business. All of those things, Google goes out and looks for those and finds them to see, do you have those things? Are you communicating with your customers through social media? LinkedIn can be really good for certain types of businesses. And Google looks at all those things, and those affect your ranking. But the number one thing that affects your ranking is reviews. And it's really hard to get reviews when you're starting out, and you might be tempted to do something like have your husband, wife, sister, brother, aunt, uncle, best friend, neighbor down the street give you a review. Now, if they actually used your business, that's fine. It's legit. But don't just have a bunch of people give you reviews, and I'll tell you why. Because Google has algorithms that they can actually figure that out. For example, if I have someone working for me and they drive to my shop every day, well, Google is going to know that that person works for me, and that review may not be legitimate. Or if it's for my wife and they live in the same house as me, then it's not a legitimate review. And Google knows that by tracking where people go on their phones. And I'm sorry if you think that companies like Google and Yahoo and Microsoft and Apple don't track you and figure out exactly what you're doing and sell that data back and forth to each other and sell it to Amazon and all that kind of stuff. I'm sorry, you're wrong. They may not should be doing that. It may be an invasion of your privacy, but the genie is out of the bottle, and they are using that, so you might as well take advantage of it. But you also need to understand that that's part of how they find fake reviews. Also, if you buy a bunch of reviews from a company in China, they know where those accounts are, and if those accounts aren't attached to cell phones that are moving about in the city that you work in, if they're all from a city in China or Korea or wherever, South America, then they're going to know that those are fake reviews. And not only is it not going to boost you in the rankings, Google is going to push you further down, and it's going to penalize you, and it's going to take a lot longer for you to build your business up. So best off just only do legitimate reviews no matter how long it takes. Now, how do you get those legitimate reviews? Well, you start out small. You may not, you want to get the Google listing going, but if you don't have any reviews at all, start advertising in Facebook groups to try to get your first few customers. And when you get your first few customers, then start trying to read your customers. For example, if you have a customer who, even though you did a really good job, but you can tell they're stressed, they're having a bad day, they're kind of a grumpy person that day, they're having a bad day, maybe you don't want to ask them for a review, because the fact that they're having a bad day could influence your review. Also, be a little sensitive to your customers. I have had people rent tables and chairs for either funerals or receptions after funerals. I never ask somebody who has just had a loved one die for a review. It's just really bad for them. Don't do it. But when I have had somebody rent tables and chairs for a baby shower, a wedding, a quinceanera, a birthday party, if they look like they had a good time, and I always ask my customers, hey, how'd your party go? And 9 times out of 10, maybe even 99 times out of 100, they'll say, oh, it went great, whatever. Been a couple of times where somebody said, yeah, it wasn't so great. Uncle Joe got drunk and started a fight, and don't ask that customer for a review. But if they say, yeah, it went great, we had a great time, we'll rent from you again, then that's your cue to know that you should ask that customer for a review. Now, it's a lot harder to get people to give good reviews than bad reviews. Bad reviews are easy to get. All you have to do is make your customer mad, don't provide good customer service, send out rental equipment that is dirty, broken, don't show up on time. You will get the bad reviews. They will happen because people are motivated to give you a bad review by the bad service they got from you. If they got good service from you and you ask them to give you a review, again, 9 times out of 10, they'll say, yeah, sure, absolutely, I'll be willing to do that for you, and then they will not do it. I don't know, probably a tiny fraction of them are lying, maybe, but most of them are thinking, yeah, I'll do that, and then they just forget. Why? Because they're not motivated. There's nothing in it for them for doing the review. And you can do things like try to give things away to get people to do a review, that kind of thing. It works so-so, but by and large, the only other thing you can do is like maybe send your customer a text with the link to do the review, because that makes it easier for them and it's just right there in front of their face, and sometimes that might work a little bit too. But you're going to have to work really hard. Like I said, for every 100 customers you have, you're going to get 3, 4, 5 reviews, so you're going to have to ask them consistently. If they look like they had a good time, if they look like they're not upset, if they look like it hasn't been a bad day and they had a good experience with your company, then ask them to leave a review for you. Because you got to ask 10 for every one, and maybe 20 or 30 or 40 or 50 for every good review that you're actually going to get. How do you do that? Very simple. Once you've confirmed, hey, how'd your party go? Oh, great, we had a good time. Great. Just before you leave, hey, you don't have to, but if you have 5 minutes and you wouldn't mind if you'd leave me a nice review on Google, it really helps out a small business like mine. You don't have to say it in exactly those words, but something along that. I've tried a couple of different ways of saying it, and something along those lines is really what works the best. You're still only going to get the 1, 2, 3, 4 out of 100. Still ask. You may feel uncomfortable, it may feel weird. You've got to ask. If you don't ask, you will not get those reviews. Then, if you don't ask, you're going to get more like 1, 2, 3, or 4 out of every 200 customers rather than every 100. The more reviews you get, though, the higher up in the rankings you're going to go. The more people are likely to see your business, the links to your website, the links to your Facebook page, that kind of thing. And if you start getting good reviews, you start moving up in the Google rankings, not only will you show up in those first 3 or 4 slots, but also other parts of your business are going to show up. Your Facebook will show up in the search. Your Instagram will show up in the search. Your LinkedIn will show up in the search. Your web page will show up in the search. All of these things. So start working on getting those reviews. It's one of the fastest things you can do to grow your business. I'll see you next time, and remember, it's always a good time to have a party.